High above Portland, where the city hums below and the hills catch the afternoon light, lies Mount Calvary Cemetery. In autumn, the slopes turn to gold, maples and oaks shedding their leaves across rows of quiet stones. It's peaceful here, a place where stories of Portland's early days still whisper among the cedars. These are not empty places, they're echoes of lives waiting to be heard. My name is Aaron, and this is Stories in Stone. The Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Portland consecrated the grounds of Mount Calvary Catholic Cemetery in the West Hills of Portland on September 30th, 1888. Though burials here began even earlier. It was built to serve Portland's growing Catholic community. Irish, German, Italian, and French immigrants who found faith, family, and belonging in a young city still carving itself out of the forest. Here on these hillsides, priests, pioneers, laborers, and leaders all share the same slope of earth. Overlooking the valley they all helped build. One of the most famous names resting here is Ben Holladay, known in his day as the Stagecoach King. Holladay was a bold and restless entrepreneur that built an empire of stage lines and railroads that once connected the country. At one point, he even acquired the Pony Express, expanding his routes along the Overland Trail and other passages that carried passengers, freight, and news across a still-forming nation. At his height, Holladay owned hundreds of coaches, thousands of horses, and more miles of route than anyone in America. But fortunes sometimes change as quickly as the weather. When the railroad bubble burst, Holladay lost nearly everything. He died in Portland in 1887 and was laid to rest here, quietly overlooking the hills that he once sought to conquer. Further down the hillside, half hidden under fallen leaves, I found the grave of Christopher Evans. At first glance, it's simple. A plain stone, nearly swallowed by moss and debris, but the story behind it stretches across the American West. Evans was once a farmer and teamster in California. In late 1880s, he became the leader of the Evans Sontag gang, accused of robbing Southern Pacific Railroad trains and defying the law across the San Joaquin Valley. With his partner, John Sontag, he gained a certain folklore reputation, seen by some as a Robin Hood figure, by others as an outlaw who pushed his luck too far. Their final confrontation came in 1893 at the Battle of Stone Corral. Evans was wounded so badly he lost his eye and an arm, but somehow he survived. Convicted of murder, he served 17 years in Folsom State Prison before being paroled in 1911. He moved north, far from the dust and gunfire of his youth, and spent his final years here in Portland. When he died in 1917, he was buried quietly among the faithful. No headlines, no crowds, just the sound of wind through the trees. His stone is unassuming, but the life beneath it is anything but ordinary. A reminder that redemption sometimes ends not with applause, but with peace. Tucked along another hillside rests John Edward Kelly, better known as Nonpareil Jack Dempsey, not the heavyweight of the 1920s, but the Irish-born middleweight champion of the 1880s. He was one of boxing's first international stars, known for lightning speed and fearless spirit. Crowds would pack smoky halls to see him fight, long before boxing had official gloves or rules like today. But by age 32, illness caught him instead. He died in 1895, his final fight against tuberculosis. Now his stone stands quietly among Portland's trees, a man once cheered by thousands, now remembered for his courage. Not far from Dempsey's grave stands one of Mount Calvary's most moving landmarks, the Oregon Irish Famine Memorial. Dedicated in 2008, it honors those that fled Ireland during the Great Famine of the 1840s and found refuge here in Oregon. Their descendants helped shape Portland's parishes, schools, and neighborhoods, the very foundation of Catholic life in the Pacific Northwest. It reads, "We remember the men, women, and children who perished in that tragedy, and those who survived to build new lives." Each name here is a bridge between old soil and new hope. Walking these paths, I was struck by how Mount Calvary feels both vast and intimate, a resting place that holds a city's entire story, yet still feels deeply personal. Each leaf that falls here feels like a small act of remembrance. Cemeteries are often seen as a place of ending, but standing here, surrounded by color, sound, and stillness, I can't help but feel they're places of continuity. Generations will pass, yet the hillside remains, golden each autumn, waiting for the next visitor to listen. As the afternoon faded, the sun spilled across the stones, turning the granite warm and alive for just a moment. In that light, Mount Calvary didn't feel somber. It felt grateful, like a pause in time, a place where memory and peace coexist. If you ever find yourself in Portland's West Hills, take a moment here. Listen to the wind, read a few names, and remember that every story, whether carved in marble or softened in moss, is part of the same great human tapestry. If you're enjoying walking these paths with me, discovering the quiet stories behind old stones, please consider subscribing to Stories in Stone. It's free and it helps others discover histories that might otherwise fade away.